Good evening, everybody. We are back to right side. Well, late night on campus. We are live. Get the names a little mixed up. Late night on campus. We are live, presented by SBRforum.com, SBR Sports Pick. It's at SBR Odds for all your odds needs. Donnie Rightside, my co-host. I am the big man on campus. It's Tuesday, May 9, 2017. Donnie Rightside, how you doing tonight?
Hey, doing good. Watching some Major League Baseball action, just some craziness with bullpens out there, blown leads all over the place, trying to hang in there and maybe steal a victory. When you're up 4 runs, big man, not once, not twice, you should get the win, but it's up for grabs here in Philadelphia for me. But otherwise than that, it's a great sports night. You got some hockey going on, interesting game, a close game in the NBA, and a full Major League Baseball card. So a lot of fun. We have a nice guest coming up here in just a few moments with Teddy Covers, and we'll talk some business.
Yeah, plenty to do tonight. Yeah, it's just amazing, Donnie, the level of inconsistency with not only bullpens, but pitching staffs in general. I mean, how many nights in a row are we going to watch where starters just get cracked on? Then you look at the same song and dance night after night with the Washington Nationals bullpen. I mean, just brutal. If you are a fan of the Washington Nationals, you have to wonder, is one reliever at the deadline going to be enough for this team?
I don't know. I mean, they clearly don't have it on the back end of the bullpen like they had in the past. Maybe make a trade. From what I understand, they do have a stacked AAA squad as well. So certainly some pieces that they can move. But if you want to win championships, Jeff, you got to be able to shut the door on teams. And that's something they haven't been able to do quite yet.
I mean, you look at down the board time. We'll get into the game by game. But I mean, you look at Baltimore, they come back. The Seattle Mariners have come back twice. The Miami Marlins coughed up a big lead, 5-1 lead. Tampa Bay's having issues. Houston's had issues. I mean, they were one hit away from Atlanta getting back in that game. Just some real ineptitude with these bullpens. And it becomes more and more clear that if you're out there, first fives need to become your best friend. We've talked about that time and time again. It's going to be something that I've started to kind of add into my group. I've also added in a lot more team totals as well. So, Donnie, let's jump into it. It was ugly today. Where do we want to start, man?
Yeah, let's go right off the bat here. Early on in the day, first game that went underway was the Texas and San Diego game, which, again, public was heavy on that one. We knew that 79% of the tickets, and they were right in this one. An absolute drubbing of Jared Weaver. Does that end his rotation streak out there with the Padres? It certainly should, because he was rocked right away. Not even a contest in this one. Jumped on him from the start.
Yeah, we were talking about this one, Donnie, earlier. The whole, why is the line dropping? Everyone's on Texas. And I don't feel bad about the bet. I mean, I was fine with it.
Jeff, that line closed at actually under minus 120. Yeah, crazy.
I think it was around 115. So, yeah, I mean, again, look, I mean, I'm going to make that play a lot of the time. It's just not something that long-term you're going to make money on if you keep betting on the public teams like that. But, yeah, I mean, look, Jared Weaver's bad. I mean, I think that today further made that clear.
No question about it. Keep it moving there. Second game of the afternoon. Senzatella in Colorado really jumped on Jake Arrieta. Seems to be struggling a whole lot here to start the season. 10-4 final there. Covered the over with ease in that one, and that one was a runaway. It seemed, Jeff, right from the beginning as well. I believe Chicago took a 1-0 lead, and then Colorado snapped it back, going up 6-1, and they never looked back in that one.
No, they dropped 10 runs. I mean, we can continue to talk about Jake Arrieta. I mean, Jake Arrieta is having major problems this year, Donnie. This isn't one issue that he's had. He's had a multitude of problems. Colorado crushed him again today. Gave up 5 earned runs, 9 total runs, 5 earned. Just wasn't very effective in 3 2/3. And another nice outing from Antonio Senzatella. They might have something there out with this kid. And they look good. I mean, the Cubs have issues right now. They're not hitting like they were last year. Their pitching's nowhere close to what it was last year. I've said it and I'll say it again. I think it's going to be kind of a longer year for the Cubs. They'll be in the playoffs, but they're not going to dominate like they did last year.
Another crazy one just hit the dashboard for me, Jeff. Now 6-6, Kansas City and Tampa Bay. So that league completely gone for the Rays at home versus Kansas City. So another just crazy situation. It looks like going to the Got him. So it looks like the Nats and the Orioles going to the bottom of the 10th as well, tied at 4.
It's pretty amazing Jumbo Diaz still has a job in Major League Baseball. I mean, year after year, this guy is just total trash. I mean, he is just a complete hack. And year after year, some team takes a flyer out. I mean, he wasn't good in Cincinnati. gives up another lead here with Tampa Bay. I mean, this guy's just not any good. But yeah, if you had the Tampa Bay Rays, I mean, you're up, 6-2 at one point.
Yeah.
You
5-1. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
You shouldn't lose this game. Brutal beat.
Another one on the docket here. Looks like just finished up. Carrasco pitches a nice game, 6-0 over Toronto. They close as a heavy favorite in that one. Covered the run line fairly easy. Another game that looks, Jeff Samardzija just has lost 6-1. They lose to the New York Mets. And it looks like, Jeff, the 7, looks like it closed. It opened up at 7.5, closed at 7. So it looks like a push on the line there. But another non-competitive road game for San Francisco. What is up with that? I mean, just crazy. I mean, it's just some of these games tonight, just like, looking at overall in the season, just amazing scores of how they're popping up and how you're coming around to some of these games.
Yeah, San Francisco has major problems. I mean, this team is really bad. I mean, they have no bullpen. Their starters have been a mess. Madison Bumgarner's obviously not even pitching right now. This team can't hit. I mean, they're 27th in the major leagues in batting average. They only had 2 hits tonight against the Mets, who have had Zach Wheeler, and the Mets have had problems. Yeah, this team is bad. That you could make an argument that other than maybe the Phillies and the San Diego Padres, they may be the worst team in the NL right now. They're really, really, really bad. I mean, name a team other than those other 2 teams even Atlanta has some sort of pop in the lineup. This is a bad baseball team right now, and I don't think it's going to get any easier because that division out there is really good.
Yeah, one game that looks like it's just coming down to the wire as well. Bottom of the 9th, we talked about it. St. Louis and Miami. It's now 6-5 St. Louis. Miami, I believe, Jeff, had a 5-1 lead in the 8th after being down 1-0. Completely coughed it up. Looks like the bottom of the 9th. I have the game up here looking at it. Doesn't look like anybody's on base just yet for the Marlins. So that would be a crazy one, especially if you had the Marlins in that situation.
Yeah, Marlins are up big as well. This is a team that, for me, I only look team total with the Marlins. They're a team that I have no interest in betting otherwise. Their pitching sucks. Say hello to everyone in the chat box. Kyle, D. Patrick, Dan, Kyle Honeystep, Mark Lathrop. Welcome in, man. John Noble, Tho Marino, Odds Couple fan. Interesting name, an Odds Couple fan. I guess he's an Odds Couple fan. And everyone else out there, Vincent, and anyone else I missed, welcome in. We have a fun show tonight. Obviously, we'll continue our breakdown of what is going on in baseball tonight, and we are pointing out a lot is going on in baseball tonight. Teddy Covers will join us in the second half hour. He'll be calling in around 10:30 Eastern. Looking forward to chatting with Teddy, host of Sportsbook on SBR, which I urge you check it out every morning. It's usually out around 10 o'clock a.m. Donnie, let's get back into it. Hey, Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Yep, just a brief one out there, Jeff. Ottawa closed out the New York Rangers tonight, so they will move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. But back to baseball here, and again, updating the next one here. 5-3 final. Cincinnati hangs on versus CC Sabathia. They tattooed him early. Yanks bullpen shuts it down, keeps the Red Machine down, but Edelman and the bullpen of the Reds pull through in that one. Closed as a small favorite, right around a pick'em. Total in that game, 8.5. That's a tough one to lose because that game was headed over early on, but it looks like it stays under by half of a run here.
Yeah, 7 runs in the first 2 innings, and the game doesn't go over. Again, it's just everything about baseball is just backwards. I mean, in the era where bullpens have been a mess, you get 7 runs in 2 innings, you should be counting your money. Honestly, if you had San Francisco, the over in that game, that was 5-0, I believe, in the second or third.
Right off the bat, sure it was.
Yeah, but you look at tonight, we've talked about it, Sabathia, yet another poor outing from CC here. 7 hits, 5 earned runs over 6 innings. Just not effective enough lately. Yankees also weren't very good tonight offensively. But look, I don't really have a lot of problems with this. Yankees, I wasn't on. They're going to lose at some point. They're still 21-10, have one of the best records in baseball. They're not going to win every game. So I didn't really have much on this game tonight. But I didn't see much in the way of people on it either. So again, I don't think it was that big a deal for people.
Yeah, 9, the next one up there, 9-9 in Philadelphia, bottom of the 7th inning. The Phillies had a 4-0 lead and a 9-5 lead. Just let that evaporate. Who knows where?
I thought it was 9-8.
No, they tied it up last inning. Yeah, Michael, the key components, as obviously nobody can pitch. Jared Eichhoff was running on fumes, and Pete Mackanin just let him stay out there to get just absolutely destroyed. But Maikel Franco was a 9-6 game with an easy ground ball, booted it. 2 more runs came in after that. So it's one of those games where nothing is working right for the Phillies except for their bats. And again, We'll see where that one ends up, but it's the bottom of the 7th inning, tied up at 9 in this one. Keeping it moving here, Jeff Scherzer, Jimenez, bottom of the 10th, 4-4. Scherzer was cruising again. That Washington bullpen comes up to bite them. A heavy favorite, closed at 160, and I know a lot of people were cheering there. If you were betting the over with Ubaldo Jimenez, 4-4, obviously extra innings, you got that. So congratulations on hitting that overplay for anybody out there who did have that.
But of course, I had the Nationals team total over 4.5. They, by the way, had 4 runs going into the 9th inning, Donnie. You were watching it, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I was.
Leadoff double for Ryan Zimmerman.
Yep.
So I'm thinking perfect. We should see a nice little
productive outs, get the runner, move him over, maybe knock him in with a fly ball or a base hit. Unbelievable. 2
straight strikeouts. Chris Heisey comes up, a 114 hitter, hits it to the warning track, and that's it. And then you hit me up saying, oh, great, they tied it up. Doesn't matter, Donnie. They're going to give it up here in the 10th inning. This bullpen is a fucking joke, an utter joke. I won't be surprised. This Nationals team, I bet on their team total 3 different times this year. I've lost all 3 of them. So I guess wake me up when that one doesn't hit, because I'm sure it's not going to.
Yeah, keep it moving here. Game's just underway. Detroit's up 1-0 on Arizona. Not much more in the way of that one. Chicago White Sox and Minnesota 7-2. Pelfrey was hanging on for a while, but has since been dispatched. That's 7-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Didn't have too much on that game, from the outset. -113 it opened up, closed almost around that level. -110, pick them in that range. 58% of the people backing Minnesota. Again, with a light lineup for Minnesota, Jeff. Getting 7 runs tonight. Interesting.
Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they they hit Pelfrey, which doesn't surprise me. But yeah, the White Sox haven't hit Hector Santiago, and that is surprising because we all know they're good against lefties. But Santiago seemed to figure them out a little bit. He had a nice outing a couple weeks ago. He had 7 innings, didn't get up a run. He's been effective against the White Sox. And when the White Sox aren't hitting lefties, they're probably the worst team in the majors, really. They just don't have very much. Another tough game if you had the White Sox. But if you had Pelfrey, yeah, you really have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah, bottom of the 8th, 6-6, as we talked about, Kansas City and Tampa Bay. We'll see how that one finishes up with a blown lead in that one. The Cubs looking to salvage a 1-1 split here with a doubleheader today. It's 5-0 in the bottom of the 5th. The Cubs cruising there with Lackey on the mound. We'll see how that one ends up out there in Colorado. And again, a game that just went final. Adam Wainwright defeats Doug Straley in that 6-5. Unbelievable, man. 5-1 lead. You got to be able to shut it down. They give it right back. It's one of those games that's tough because I know when you build a lead, let's just say the Phillies game, they're 4-0 early in that one. They just give it back. I get that, but it's tough when you have a shutdown inning late in the game where, maybe you give up 1 run and it's 5-2 to give it all back in 1 inning and then the very next inning give up the lead altogether. They're kind of interesting.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, Donnie, earlier in the show. I think you said it. In baseball, there's no clock, and there's nothing worse really than when you just have a lead just being blown and you can just see it, and just seeing it, run after run after run, single after single after single. And there's really nothing like bullpen melts. It's just brutal. A game like this Washington Nationals team total over. I mean, tonight they're facing Ubaldo Jimenez. They score 20,000 runs every other game. Baseball really can knock you in the fucking head. If you're not strong enough to say, you know what, I'm just going to move on and just keep going with it, it can really chew you up and spit you out quick. And it's when you're definitely an amateur bettor or a novice bettor, it's really probably in your best interest to just skip baseball or find someone or have a low volume. It's really tough sometimes. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone that's having trouble. It's very difficult. When you're having trouble, it's really tough.
No, I would agree in that situation. Looking to pull this, hopefully. I mean, we're going to now the 8th inning with the Phillies tied at 9. It'd be nice to pick up another W in Major League Baseball, but somebody was asking out there in the chat box. The Phillies money line tonight is my play of the night here that I did give out. Same thing as last week. Got a 4-run lead in the Toronto game. That one lost. So maybe getting 4-run leads is not my best option here. I had a 4-run lead last night in the Baltimore game, and they almost gave that one back as well. I guess in hockey, when you have the 2-goal lead, as they say, it's always the worst lead to possibly have. So looks like getting a little bit of that back. But we'll see if they can pull it out here. Oakland and the Angels, early bottom of the first, 1-0. Angels going to the bottom of the first here. And then Pittsburgh and the Dodgers just going underway. Got out of the first. Urias with a clean inning there, and Nova's going to take the mound, and the LA Dodgers are now up to the plate. So some interesting aspects there in Major League Baseball tonight. We'll see how they finish out 2-0, Jeff, now in the Detroit game with Robbie Ray in that one. So we'll see.
Yeah, Robbie Ray having issues already. And look, I mean, Robbie Ray has been okay, but he has command issues. 34 pitches already, and he doesn't even have an out in the second inning yet. So that could be a long game there as well. We did fail to mention, Donnie, about our friend Bartolo Colon. He got absolutely roped again. I think one thing that's common about baseball is Bartolo Colon will get absolutely hammered every game. It's just been like a rinse repeat with Bartolo Colon every game, Donnie. It just seems like he gives up 5+ runs, and he gave up 5 runs in the first inning. Followed it up with a couple more late, just recently from the Houston Astros. They're up 8-3 late in that game. Hopefully the bullpen can close it out for the Astros.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide. You know, when Bartolo Colon's going to go in a bandbox type ballpark versus an American League team that can swing the bats and really get after it. You don't have the pitcher to get a breather on. It's not the Padres. You know, it's not a huge ballpark getting back to that bandbox option. So, I mean, he just got front and center, showed up in the first inning right away. You knew what you're going to get, and it's 8-3 at this point. It's not really a surprise in that situation.
No. Yeah, I mean, when you're giving Bartolo Colon the hottest lineup, probably the best lineup in baseball, it's not normally going to end very well. So, just if you came out of tonight unscathed or you won money, you count your lucky stars and kiss your wife or whoever it is you kiss at night, and look forward to another day, because this was what you would call carnage. It would look like here in this day of baseball.
No, certainly. NBA game, Jeff, 96-93. Houston Rockets right now currently over the Spurs. Yeah, that game was back and forth going on, just watching the scoreboard itself. Spurs had the lead. It looks like they have relinquished that about 3 minutes to go. So, as you know, in the NBA, a close game with under 3 minutes to go. It is 10:17 Eastern Standard Time. We're looking at a finish of what, Jeff? Maybe 11:45 tonight by the time it gets over?
Yeah, it should be over around 1:30 a.m. Maybe around that time the other night when the Yankees game ended. But this game's going to stay way under, barring overtime. You look at the public betting this one up to 216. So yet another.
It'd be interesting. That is going to be an interesting one. We'll see. But as you know, if somebody's sitting on that under, if you're having some bad luck, that could get, same way a gambler's going to have karma. Like, yep, 96-93, 3 minutes to go. I should win this one. Watch it hit overtime, and sure enough, something crazy
barring overtime, again, it won't surprise me when it goes to overtime and goes over, just because that's kind of the state of the NBA. But
sure.
If you're fading public money in the NBA, you'll make money. I've did it all year in basketball, and
is that true in the playoffs now, Jeff? Because every night I see like the favorites just smashing teams.
Well, no, I'm talking about totals more or less.
Oh, gotcha.
I picked and chose my spots in playoffs, but in the regular season, fading steam worked for me pretty well. But you look at tonight, it wasn't a big sample size, but the public was on the over tonight. Steam played on the over, and barring overtime, the under is going to look to come through here. So, I think this series is going to go deep. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of this game. Two teams that are really kind of similar. Actually not similar. They're more different. They have good things with each. They play good defense. One's a real good shooting team. I don't know. I haven't paid much attention to the NBA. I've kind of been entrenched with baseball and some other things, but books have been getting killed lately by the public. Yeah, in the NBA, with the Warriors and the Cavs, if you're betting the Warriors and the Cavs, which there are plenty of people that do that on a regular basis, you're making some money. So good for you.
Yeah, tomorrow me and Jeff will appear along with Ian Cameron and Drew Martin on the roundtable for the week. That we'll have that on Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We break down, more of a seasonal approach and what's going on now, what to look forward to. It's always a lot of fun. We get a lot of listeners and a lot of people in the chat box now, so look forward to that one tomorrow. A lot of day baseball tomorrow too as well, Jeff. So we'll be, filled up each and every 1 o'clock all the way through till 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Triggs will be on the mound in the afternoon. I know me and Jeff will be watching that all together and having a lot of fun.
By the way, rest in peace if you have the Nationals. Oliver Perez now in for the Nationals. So
how many outs you got in that game, Jeff? I don't have it one up.
1 out, and the game is hanging in the balance. So you just had an overturn call at second base.
2 outs, yeah.
I'm seeing 1 out. There was
I think Oh, it was an overturn. I'm sorry. Yep, 1 out, 2 on. Yeah, you're right now.
Yeah. So, just because Donnie again gets the extra inning doesn't mean we're going to hit the team total. We're just destined to lose with Washington. That's just how it goes.
We'll see if we can sneak this one out here. 9-5 in the Milwaukee game, Jeff, top of the 7th inning. So it looks like Boston's going to try to climb back into that one. But that should wrap up just about the Major League Baseball card that we were taking a look at today. We'll see how some of these games finish up. And again, with the basketball and the hockey. So we'll be moving on from that. Jeff, a little sidebar note here. I know we like to talk a lot of things non-sports tonight. I know, I don't want to even say growing up, in my 20s, had a lot of fun watching Rob and Big Black die today.
Yeah, I saw that. 45 years old. Yeah, look, Donnie, and stuff like that. I know when, I'll relate that to when Tony's up front, James Gandolfini died. I look at a guy like him, and I look at a guy like this guy, Big Black, clearly overweight, and it makes me think about my life, and kind of the changes that I have to make as a person, just because people are dying young, and Big Black was really funny. I remember when I was younger, I used to watch that show with Rob Dyrdek, I believe.
Yeah.
That was funny. It was a really funny show. Rob and Big. Rest in peace to him. He was funny, definitely.
I was very entertained by that show. So yeah, that's a sad thing. Yeah. Like always say, like guys gone too soon. That's certainly one of the guys in the business that wasn't scheduled to be in that spot, but obviously was fun. Always had a fun-loving time. And again, MTV back in the day when they used to have some decent programming, that show did make me laugh back in the day. Sure thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I mean, that was when MTV still had some decent programming on it. Nowadays, it's just, Teen Mom and all that kind of crap. But what do we got in NHL tonight, Donnie?
Yeah, NHL only one game closed them out, Jeff. New York Rangers are out of the playoffs, which as a Philadelphia fan does bring a little smile to my face. I can't lie. So every time, I can see a New York Rangers fan, you go back and forth and stuff like that. You say, is King Heinrich really any good? I mean, he doesn't have any rings. So as long as that continues, and it would be nice in the next round if the Washington Capitals can get knocked out, and then I'll be even more excited by that as well.
Yes, see you later, Rangers. Yeah, Donnie, remember that show, Pit My Ride? That was a great show.
That was a very popular show, man. Yeah.
What are some other ones you liked, that you watched? I used to like True Life was good, way long ago.
Back in the day. Yep. Then they had the guy called the Smashing Machine in him and his girlfriend were on there. I mean, they have a lot of interesting characters that flow in and out in there. But just being married, the wife's going to watch a lot of stuff. I know back in the day she used to watch a lot of Teen Mom stuff, like in the first 2 seasons.
Do you remember this True Life episode? The I Have a Summer Share. Do you remember that one?
Refresh me. I might have seen it.
It was about this guy. It was back I don't know, right 2000.
Yeah. Oh yes.
It was this
he
guy.
Was always talking about
Tommy was his name.
Cheese balls.
Yeah. Yes. Dude, he was literally my idol. When I was younger, and I remember because he went to the same
Cadillac.
Yeah, he went to a lot of the same places I did, and I was obviously a lot younger, but he would go to Seaside and all that stuff. I mean, how funny was that guy?
Jesus. I mean, all he was trying to do was find his love of a lifetime at the Jersey Shore by going out clubbing. I mean, that just was hilarious to me. That was the show before the Jersey Shore. It was basically saying, hey, we could pop people in Seaside and get some ratings on this one, but that was the original one.
He was literally him and Growing Up Gotti. They were the original.
Growing Up Gotti. There you go. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that Tommy guy was literally epic, dude. That was so great. I go back.
Where was the white party at, Jeff? What place was that at?
Merge.
There you go. At Bamboo and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually Merge is a great club. It closed in Seaside a couple years ago, but those were my old haunts. So for me, I love that stuff. Interesting question I have for you, Donnie. Then we'll get our guest up here.
Yeah, sure.
Pimp My Ride, right? What would you put in your car? What would
back in the day?
No, right now. Right now. Like a betting machine or something?
Yeah, I mean, what would you even go with now? I mean, every car just is pretty much souped up. But if you're looking I don't really know what I would actually have in there now, other than maybe an air filtration system, so I can just smoke cigars while I'm driving, and it won't matter. Nobody yells at me. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. A humidor and an air filtration system, I would be set. But back in the day, I used to love the guys that got those minivans that were pimped out, and you put the Xbox in there with a couch. I was like, man, that would have been all me back in the day.
Definitely Donnie over for the Nationals. Jacob Turner coming into the game. It's
How many
definitely not
pitching
going to end.
changes, man? Jeez.
Good old Dusty Baker putting them all in here.
Now, Jeff, just like we talked about here in the Houston-San Antonio game, 101, 34 seconds to go. So if you are an over backer in this one or an under backer, my gosh. Come on.
All right. Send out the link to our guest. Should be joining in any second. But yeah,
Yes.
I got to wonder if you have the under. I want you to get on the chat box and let us know that you have the under. I'd like to hear from you. So, Donnie, we'll have to keep up to date with what's going on there because, listen, I hear you. I have the Nationals team total over. I'm trying to have them get out of this inning so they can
J-Pal's got it. J-Pal's got the over in that one. Yeah, I know, big man. I know you're sitting on that. You want him to get out of that inning, give you the solo blast. Come on. You don't have to – and then lose the game. Doesn't even matter, you know?
If you have the over, does anyone have the under in this game?
Someone got in the chat box there. Yeah,
I feel for you, brother. You're hoping for no overtime.
There you go, J-Pal. He's got it.
Teddy Covers joining us live from Las Vegas. He joins Donnie and I on the late night on campus. Teddy, host of Sportsbook. How you doing tonight, my man?
Donnie. Hey, BMOC.
Hey,
what's the good word, guys?
My long lost friend out there.
Cheers. I know. I mean, you've been trying to get me on the show forever, and I keep, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. Thank you so much for your patience. Really looking forward to spending a little time together today.
We appreciate having you on, man. We enjoy your show, and I want everyone, before we get into just chatting here, check out Sportsbook every day on SBR. It's up around. I usually watch it around 10 o'clock Eastern in the AM. Great way to wake up and kind of get familiar with what happened over the last 24 hours or so. Always put in some really good guests, have great segments. You and Paul Howard doing some good things, Teddy. And you and I have talked a lot recently. Really like what you're doing. I've always been a big fan of yours, and we're happy to have you on the show here. We're obviously sweating out games just like you are. I mean, we sit on here and we actually have to talk about these games as they're going on. It's a little bit different than some of the other shows. But I got to ask you, Ted, before we get into some things, what are you on tonight? Are you on anything?
Yeah. We're actually right now. I've got some Oakland A's in my pocket, and I've got some Arizona Detroit over in my pocket as well. So I had a little bit of the Rockies in early action today. That was nice and easy. This fading Arrieta.
Have you seen? I mean, I know this year, obviously, it's something that bullpens have been a major problem, but tonight seems extra wacky and wild. I mean, you have 4 or 5 games that have been blown by bullpens. You have games still in progress. Before we get into some things here, what are going on? What's going on with these bullpens here this year?
Well, certainly it's a good thing if you have that Grand Salami over tonight. Sure. I mean, today's a great day if you're betting overs, at least so far. With the bullpen meltdowns, and we've seen a number of them. I mean, what we see, the Red Sox hung 10 on the Twins in the 9th inning. Was that yesterday, the day before? It's been. There's not that many good bullpens. I mean, that's the truth of it. But to say why today has been the day that so many pens have gone south, I can't tell you. It's one of those. It's certainly randomness in that, but in general. You find good bullpens, man. Those are teams to bet on and bet unders. You find bad bullpens, and those are teams to bet against, to bet overs, and it's just that simple.
Yeah, I mean, we go over, obviously, the games all the time, all the bullpens. And Donnie and I were talking the other day. I mean, are there 5 bullpens you trust in the major leagues anymore? I mean, I would probably put the Yankees in there, and the Orioles, when healthy, are very good, and the Dodgers and the White Sox. But other than that, I mean, what do you really have? I mean, it's really just hit or miss with everything. But you're totally right. When you find bullpens, you definitely want to stick to them because they're not going to get any better normally.
Well, I mean, you find situations that exacerbate bad bullpens, okay? When you have a situation where you have a team with a struggling bullpen, and guess what? Now they've got to play, a doubleheader and then, 6 days in a row without a day off. And the starting pitcher got pulled in the 3rd in one game and got pulled in the 4th in the next game. You have a bad bullpen that gets taxed, and then you have a situation like we saw, let's say, Cincinnati last year, where the bullpen literally every single game was giving up runs, blowing leads. You were betting against the Reds, you were betting overs and cashing again and again and again. But, that was an interesting list of quality bullpens. There aren't that many to trust. I trust the Cubs bullpen. I think that was one that you omitted. Did you say the Cubs? I know you said the Yankees. You said the
I did not
Orioles.
to the Cubs, but they would probably be kind of right there. I
Yeah.
do still think at this point you can still trust them. But yeah, Yankees, Baltimore,
Red Sox, I mean, the teams that have the money to spend on bullpens have good bullpens. The surprise for me has been the White Sox. I didn't see the White Sox bullpens being as good as it has been. I'm not convinced it'll last. The Astros are another team that I think their bullpen's pretty good. But again, teams with money that are spending, that are able to spend their money to shore up the relief corps. And, the bullpens make all the difference in September and October. They really do. And they make a lot of difference in the regular season. Whereas the lines you're seeing on a daily basis for baseball really don't factor in bullpens very much at all.
Right. Spurs and Rockets heading to overtime, Donnie.
That's just unbelievable.
Worst nightmare for underbackers. I mean, that's a clear over, 96-93 with 3 minutes to go. Sorry to anyone out there that had that. I know I didn't, but there are a couple people on the chat box that do have that. So my apologies. Hopefully you can get them tomorrow for sure. Teddy, before we get into actual gambling talk, I do have to ask you, you moved to Vegas in 1998, correct?
Yeah.
What made you do it? Why'd you move to the great Sin City?
Well, I was the year before. I was in Michigan. I just turned 30 years old. It was a horrible winter. I had a really good football season the year before. I'm like, if you're ever going to, I've been in the restaurant bar business. I was managing a restaurant. I was trying to buy something. I had a deal, two deals that didn't go through. And I'm like, look, man, you're beating this. If you're ever going to do it, now's the time to do it. Let's try it. Let's give it one season and give it a shot. I didn't sell my house. I kept my house in Michigan. I drove out, with I had the Jeep. I didn't pack the U-Haul. I just packed up the Jeep and drove out here for the beginning of preseason. I think it was August 6th, maybe 98, right in time for the Hall of Fame game. And I'm like, let's try one football season. Let's see what happens. I've been one football, one basketball, one sports cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went home the next summer, sold the house, brought the U-Haul. Brought Kara and I'm like, this is something this is what I want to do. I think I can do this. I think I can beat this. That's really what it was the combination of turning 30 and a couple of things not going right and having one really good football season that gave me the confidence. Because I'll tell you what, I mean, I go back, I kept records. I was always a record keeper. I kept records from when I first started making bets. It's just, I'm just that kind of guy. But the two football seasons I had before that were not very good. And then in the season of 97, I'm like, oh, I cracked the code. I got it. Let's move to Vegas and do it. And obviously, if I would have known then what I know now, maybe I don't know. I'd probably make the move. I can't. I don't have a lot of regrets for doing that. I really don't. I'm glad I did it.
I got to ask you this. I mean, obviously, you hear story after story. I mean, obviously, Donnie and I were from the Philadelphia area. I got my start in South Philly when I was younger. I learned from someone that kind of taught me the game, and Donnie's kind of has a similar story. Were you a gambler growing up? I mean, was this something that you always did? You kind of were around it, and you said, you know what? I'm just going to try to make this into a career. I mean,
not even a little bit. Not even a little. I mean, I played cards. I was always a card player. I played backgammon. I used to gamble on backgammon. But betting on sports, I didn't make a sports bet till after I graduated from Michigan. And that's the following year. I was managing a sports bar right off campus. And these guys were like, it was back in the days with those giant satellite dishes, the Galaxy 24, and you had to go and press the thing on top of the roof.
Sure.
And people were coming in and say, hey, can you put on there again? This in Ann Arbor. They're like, yeah, can you put on the Sacramento Golden State game? Sure, dude, I'll find it for you. What the fuck do you want to watch that for? We're betting. Hey, we got a guy. We're betting on this. We're betting the total. We're betting this.
There's always those type of guys in bars where it's like a blowout and they're watching the game and you're like, why the hell are you still watching this game? I got the over.
Sure. Well, I mean, but at the time, I really didn't have any idea. So I met some guys who were betting, and they were having trouble getting down. And I talked to it was March Madness. I think it's March Madness 93 or March Madness 94. I honestly don't remember which of the 2 years. It was one of those years. We decided, okay, let's just make book. Let's make book for this one March Madness. Let's see and see what happens. And we got our opening weekend. We got our clocks cleaned on Thursday. We lost again on Friday. We lost all day Saturday. Saturday night, literally, it was one game. And I remember it was Arizona State, Kentucky, and everybody had Arizona State. Bill Frieder, who was a former Michigan guy, was the coach of Arizona State at the time. And literally every client that we had that was in the sports bar was on Arizona State that night. If we lost, we didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know how we were going to pay everyone on Monday. It was like it was stress city. We weren't like experienced bookies. We were trying it for a weekend. And the game was like Kentucky was laying 9.5 or 10. The game was tied at the half, and second half they just killed them and crushed them. And we won all the money, and we ended up winning for the weekend, and we ended up making book. So I learned how to bet essentially as a bookie by watching the mistakes that everybody else was making.
Yeah.
And frankly, we were booked for several years, and there weren't a whole lot of people that beat us, and you watch the mistakes and you watch the sides that everyone was loading up on. It's, hey, what'd they do last week? What'd they do last night? It's like, and they were losing. So my initial intro into betting was all contrarian. It's like, let's go against the public. Let's go against what everyone's doing. It's not about what happened last week. And that was a good strategy for the 90s. It worked in the 1990s. It does not work blindly in 2017.
So the moral of the story is go out and be a bookie before you become a better. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go out and do that. But, obviously, coming up, obviously everyone did different things to learn how to get into the game. But, Teddy, I have to ask, this is kind of how I figured out who you were a long time ago. You've almost become the consultant for mainstream media to kind of learn about sports betting. I've seen you on so many different things. PBS stuff and Vice and all these different things. And I've seen, Life on the Line, I think it was, some of the other movies. Did you ever think you'd be a TV star growing up?
I'm not a TV star, dude. No. I was doing radio, and I was doing the morning announcements in 9th grade. I was doing. We had a little campus radio station in high school. I was doing I got a picture in my yearbook of me with great '80s hair. You would love this. I got the '80s locks, baby.
Why didn't you bring that? We would have loved to have seen that.
I can find it somewhere. No, God forbid that would get out online. I don't care. It's so funny, but a funny picture of me doing doing radio stuff. So I've been in broadcasting in some level. Straight through. But I also, I got kicked off the air in Michigan and didn't do anything for 20 years. Not 20 years, but probably 15 years. I didn't do anything. But TV stuff, I never thought I'd do TV stuff. I don't know. I got a face for radio. I don't have a face for TV. But a lot of that's random. It really is. I didn't expect to come out here and, I wasn't putting the pedal to the metal when it came to like sending out press releases and cultivating media contacts. It's kind of over the years it snowballed a little bit, and I do get the calls from the mainstream media when there's a big gambling story, but it ebbs and it flows. Sometimes I get a bunch of calls, sometimes I don't. They're looking for somebody new. So, how about you? Did you think you were going to be an internet sensation?
I don't know. I definitely don't have a face for radio for sure, or for TV. But no, I did the announcements myself actually in high school also. So I've always been into. I used to do Little League games. I used to announce Little League games and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, I've always kind of wanted to do that. But you, Teddy, are someone that whenever I was coming up in sports betting, I remember I would always see you, and I was like, I want to meet that guy someday. But now I have. Teddy, what's the biggest sports betting myth?
The biggest sports betting myth?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that, think this and think that. You're out where, the iron's hot. What's the biggest myth about sports betting to, I guess, maybe someone that doesn't know much about it?
That it's easy?
Great answer.
Sports betting is not, it is going to be a grind. I think the biggest myth about sports betting is that you think that winning sports bettors always win, and that's not the case. If you are a great sports bettor, okay, and you win 200 days a year, you're going to lose 100 days a year. You're going to push another 50. There's going to be a lot of days that you're going to go to bed with less money in your accounts or whatever than you started out that day with. And I guess from a mainstream perspective, the ability to handle losing without going off the rails I think without, I mean, I don't know, myth. Is that a myth?
No, that's a great answer, because I think a lot of people come on and just think it's, I hear all the time people say to me like, wow, that must be easy doing that every day, just talking about sports. I mean, what an easy job that is. And I say to myself, well, it's not. I mean, it's not. I have a lot of struggles like getting bets in and doing all sorts of stuff like that. So, Donnie, I mean, how many times have you heard, wow, that must be easy. You probably just sit home all day and don't do anything.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of work. Teddy, the one question I do have that I would like to ask is, you've been in this business a long time, and obviously since it's moving from Michigan to Las
Donnie,
Vegas.
Donnie, you can ask me 10 questions. You don't have to hold yourself for one.
We'll rapid fire them right off at you. Being in the sales business in this industry, talk about some of the changes that you've seen since you've been in Las Vegas. I know with me growing up, it started with opening up the paper and hearing like radio calls of, call like a boiler room type setting. There was no internet, back in the early 90s, late 80s for this. It was a lot of mainstream guys, I would wake up in the morning, the NFL would come on, but at 6 a.m., you would have 4 or 5 guys on there selling picks, parlays, call this telephone number. I mean, these guys were famous because they were on the air each and every Sunday coming on trying to sell picks. Talk about a little bit from your perspective in Las Vegas, how since you got out there that it's changed from when you got out there to what it is now.
Well, one of the good things about the internet, I mean, there's a ton of good things about the internet, but one of the best things about this industry for the internet is that at least some of the boiler room stuff has gotten exposed, and and then you don't have guys that are giving out both sides of the same game anymore. You can't do that in 2017 the way you could in 1992, for example. But it's a distinction that I make that allows me to sleep at night. In that, I've always believed there's a big difference between reputable handicappers and boiler room guys, and in circa 2017, it's much easier to tell the difference between A and B. Where, the reason those guys had the, coveted radio spots right before the NFL is because they're making a ton of money in the boiler rooms, ripping people off. Yep. And it's not about handicapping. It's about salesmanship. And, some of the guys, even on the good side of the industry, it's more about salesmanship than handicapping and a lot of times. I won't deny that, but the industry is much more transparent now than it was 20 or 25 years ago. And I'm proud of helping drive that transparency, because one thing that I've always done, or at least try to do wherever I've been, and make sure everything's documented, records are accurate, point spreads are accurate. You're not giving out BS numbers. And of course I do write-ups for my game. So I try to give my clients some semblance of value, even if the pick itself doesn't win. There's something they may gain from that knowledge, but that's certainly not industry wide. not even maybe.
Teddy, I got to ask you, we had a listener kind of mention to me, he kind of DM'd me about this, and I've been meaning to talk about it, and I figure, why not talk about it with you on the air? Because I know you and Paul have talked about this, and it's something that obviously with a lot of the novice guys, maybe just coming into the business, we've talked about at length on our show about parlays and how Donnie and I don't personally really do them. And then we've had talks about teasers as well. What are your stance on teasers? Obviously in basketball, I think they're a total no-no. Educate quickly the users on teasers.
I'll tell you a story about teasers from when I was a bookie in Ann Arbor. All right. We legitimately did not know that basketball teasers were only 4 points. Teasers are 6 points, right? Football teasers, 6 points. Right. We spent a year. Okay, we gave out 6 points on NBA teasers, side, total, anything.
Oh, wow.
Minus 110. You know who beat us? Nobody. Okay, we didn't realize our mistake until we came out to Vegas on our big, okay, let's go to Vegas trip and learn something about and we looked like, you're only supposed to give out 4 points. And we went back and the guys who were betting the teaser like, yeah, you didn't know that? Ha, 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 we took advantage of you. I'm like, no, we took advantage of you because you didn't beat us. Basketball teasers are hopeless, useless. You will not beat them. I don't think there is a mathematically positive expectation wager you can make with a basketball teaser. The advantage of teasers is when the lines are very tight. If you have good lines, teaser bets become great because then either side is live to win. The best thing, and the other issue with teasers, and football teasers are all I'm talking about. The only teasers that I personally make and that I watch other professional bettors make is in football. Enormous difference teasing when the total's 78 in a college football game versus a total of 41 in an NFL game. You know what I mean? Your 6 points are worth a ton more. College teasers, no good. Certainly not on the high games. NFL teasers, especially once you get 3, 4, 5 weeks into the season. I mean, the sweet spot for NFL teasers, October, November. You can find positive expectation teasers. And of course, when you talk basic strategy on teasers, and I know we've done some videos on this on SportsBit. I'm not sure if they're archived, but your basic strategy on teaser is like this. For positive expectation, the wise guy strategy, whatever. When you're taking your bigger dogs, you're taking dogs of more than a touchdown, teasing them through all the key numbers, 7, 6, 4, and 3 below a field goal. So your sweet spot, I said that backwards. Your favorites. All right, your sweet spot is your -7.5, -8, -8.5 favorites. You're going to tease those all down so that you're laying less than a field goal with those teams. Your dogs, your sweet spot is the short dogs, your +1.5, +2, +2.5. You tease those up through all the key numbers, 3, 4, 6, and 7. And then you get you're on the right side of the math when it comes to betting teasers. So that's it. NFL teasers, October and November, those limited point spread ranges. That's exactly what I look for. But you know what? They're beatable, and they're beatable every single year.
And for God's sakes, don't tease under 0.
Over 0.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. You're just paying for a point you're not getting.
Right.
I
see all the time. People,
of course, I see it all the time too.
Taking -3 to +3 and thinking they're Billy Walters because they're winning teasers because they're betting -3 to +3. Yeah. But basketball, I gotta laugh at. I see certain teasers taking a tee from 12 to 8. Donnie and I, you and I were talking about that. What do you think? The tee's going by 9? I mean, what's the thinking pattern there, Donnie?
On the teaser?
Yeah, teasing 12 to 8.
Yeah, exactly. Or, yeah, we were talking about the NBA lines, or what Teddy was just talking about as well. I see it all the time. I mean, how do you know you're messing around like a late 3-pointer in a basketball game? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I agree with you there, Jeff. It's kind of funny when you actually see it happening.
Teddy, Donnie lives in New Jersey. I have a legal residence in New Jersey as well. Obviously, the big talk around here has been for years. Sports betting's coming. Chris Christie, it's coming. They're building Monmouth Park up to take wagers, AC to take wagers. Before we kind of get into some rapid fire and then let you finally get off the air with us here, what's the future for sports betting in this country? I know you have some interesting opinions on that.
I'm taking the over. Anytime you talk about legalization, give me a date, I'll take the over. Remember, states, in order to have any justification for legalizing sports betting, they have to say this is the revenue we're going to get from it. All right? Delaware's revenue projections haven't come close, nor will they. In the state of Nevada, where sports betting is legal, the books pay 1/4% 1/4% of tax. And they eat it. They're willing to eat that in order to have they don't put any of that on the bettor, on the consumer. And the state makes very little money, obviously, off of sports betting taxation here in Nevada. Other states are looking to have bigger revenues, which means that 1/4% that the books eat isn't going to work. So what does that mean? That means the end of -110. And the end of -110 means legalization won't work because every bookie will still be in business and every offshore will still be in business. And they'll be, you're laying -115, -20 to bet with the state, lay -110 or -18 or -105 with us. And it's not like the anti-gambling forces are as strong as they were 10 and 20 years ago. The moral majority guys going around saying gambling is evil. But there's also, I spent 2 summers working in D.C. back when I was a young, idealistic college student. And the one thing I learned without a shadow of a doubt about the government is that nothing gets passed without an enormous amount of momentum behind it. No legislation gets passed without a driving force. And by a driving force, that means money. Okay? There's not enough money behind it. There's not enough money to push through legislation. Who's going to get rich off sports betting? The states aren't dying for it. The casinos aren't dying for it. Nobody's dying for it. So there's a tepid push. Yeah, let's try to get there. Yeah. And all the sports bettors, yeah, legalization, great. There are issues with legalization, and there's no clear path from here to there. Whatever number you give me 2020, I'll take over. Give me 2025, I'll take over. You give me 2030, I'll take over. I do not see legalized, regulated sports betting nationwide or even state by state in the short to medium to long-term future in the U.S.
I've actually, Teddy, heard you break that down before. And Donnie, I actually wanted to bring that up to you, but I didn't want to ruin the surprise. I knew he had a great argument for that. But we've talked about it. I know I've talked about it in my personal life. Donnie, you've been to South Philadelphia. I mean, there's a book in every corner.
Yes, correct.
For us, he's 100% right. I mean, the bookie on 12th and Chung's just going to say, hey, I'll give you minus 110 again. They're going to charge you 115 down the shore. Why don't you just bet with me? I don't have to drive down to the shore to make a bet. I don't got to take my girl out on a Sunday to buy her dinner and then go play my bets.
And credit. You get to bet on credit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even have to tell her about it. She asked me where that's 300 we had. Oh, I bet it out at the casino because you saw the Borgata take the money out. No, not anymore because Joey took the money already. We gave it to him. So you can bet on credit. I don't got to worry about it. I can blow my money the way I want, and she doesn't know about it. So, yeah, I think state to state, though, we'll see some states get it. Sure, I would imagine sometime. But, it's only going to hurt the one.
Jersey's got to be first. Jersey's got to break through. Jersey, I mean, no other state's going to take the time and expand. I mean, Jersey had a motivated legislature and a motivated governor and the right place for sports betting and an Atlantic City that's dying for something. Sure. Sure. Atlantic City on Super Bowl weekend. You ever been there on Super Bowl weekend?
No.
It's not like Vegas. It's not like Vegas for March Madness, and it would be, or it could be if that was there. So if ever there's Jersey's a place to do it. And if Jersey can't get it done, it's not getting done anywhere.
And plus, you obviously have a clear connection to the President of the United States at this point as well in New Jersey. The point I want to make as well, Teddy, what's the one thing that we have here in New Jersey that Las Vegas doesn't?
The smell of the pike?
The ocean. We have a beach.
Sorry, I was just kind of, come on, I had to make a Jersey joke.
I hear what you're saying, though. It does smell bad, but at the end of the day, it can be used in that retrospect
as well. Of course.
Hey, bring your kids here. You can sit on the beach. Your wife can sit on the beach all day, and you can bet on sports all day. It's the premier. Plus, it's near everything. Washington, New York, Boston, Philadelphia. I mean, everybody can come to Atlantic City, and it's such a great city. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's truly, to me, it's like my second home. Donnie, it's like your second home. Atlantic City's special to us. We've went there as kids, and it sucks to see it like the way it is now. I mean, just everything's shuttered. There's nothing going on. I think it would be great, and I hope Teddy's right. I hope it is one of the states that's coming up, but it's going to be an uphill climb as it's been for a long time. Teddy, a little bit of rapid fire, and then we'll let you go. You have quickly as you can answer these questions. Give me a sport you hate to bet on.
I hate to bet on. I don't do much with MMA. Okay. I'm not an MMA junkie.
Are you a boxer?
I don't know it. I don't know it well enough. And the guys who give me opinions, they no, MMA. There you go.
Are you a boxing guy?
I'm trying to go rapid fire because I answer long. Am I a boxing guy? I've had more success betting boxing. Yeah, in boxing, you just wait till the public comes in and bets the dog, and then you lay a little price with the chalk. That's
like last week, right?
Like Mayweather, dude. Mayweather's been. They always bet again. The money comes in on the dog. Nobody likes Mayweather, and that strategy's worked for me for 20 years now.
Sure,
close to it.
What is your favorite sports book in Las Vegas?
That's a hard question. Like to hang out. Give me more specific. A favorite sports book to make a bet. A favorite sports book to hang out for the day.
I'll do both. Favorite to make a bet. Best one to take your wife.
Look, I'm always a fan of the Westgate Superbook. That's the original. Jay Cornegay's as good as it gets. It's a great place to hang out and watch sports all day. Big fan of that. But I like the M Sportsbook too. I like South Point. If you're downtown, I'll sit in the Nugget all day. In the Nugget, I can smoke, which is not always a great thing. But those are just a handful. And of course, the Palazzo. That's a really nice sports book if you want to get a good bite to eat, awesome. And watch the games there.
Yeah, Legacy's place down there. I went out there for the Clemson Alabama game. It was nice.
Sure, yeah, it's a classy joint. It's a classy joint in here.
Teddy, we got to hear your New York accent, your Philly accent, whatever that is.
What do you mean New York? I mean, I grew up in. You understand? I'm a native New Yorker, so.
Really?
Yeah, I have. There's New York, and it takes about, when I get back to the city, it takes me about like 24 hours, and I'll be as New York as it gets.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I grew up in New York. I lived in Queens when I was a kid, and then we moved out to the suburbs. Just.
You and Peter Loshek. Peter Loshek's a New Yorker also. Toughest sport to bet on, Teddy, in your opinion?
Toughest sport?
Yeah, to bet on.
I'm not buying that as a concept. Anything that you're betting on because you think you can beat it. If you don't think you can beat it, you shouldn't be betting on it. If you put the time in and you put the work in, maybe the random things are going to happen. You're going to have bullpen meltdowns in baseball. You're going to have pick sixes in football. You're going to have the random threes at the buzzer in basketball, or the missed free throws. All that stuff can and will happen. But if you're doing the work, putting the time in, anything you're betting, you're supposed to be able to beat.
Yeah.
Teddy picking my questions off. Great answer. Donnie's picking my questions off.
That's what a true pro does, man.
Last one, quickly, because I don't want to bore you forever with these questions. Are you a stats and trends guy, or are you a number movement kind of guy?
Do you have to be one or the other?
No. What are you?
Yeah, because I'm not. I mean, when you ask me what is my style is an amalgamation. I'm not a stats and trends guy by any stretch of the imagination. Will I look at stats and trends? You better believe it. I want to understand why is this number priced where it is? That's the first question that I'm trying to answer. And whatever methodology can come to an appropriate answer for that. But anytime we're talking trends, it's got to be meaningful. It's got to be based on something. Hey, you know what? This coach is a great underdog. We want this coach in a situation where he steps up in class. Or look at this spot when they have extra rest, they come out, they score 120 points every time. Or whatever, things that make sense. I mean, just throw out some random trend that there's always going to be random trends. When you run database stuff, you're always going to find something. Just because you find it doesn't make it meaningful. It has to pass. That doesn't make sense test.
So you're not a fan of since 1997, this team is.
Sure, on Tuesdays, yeah. Exactly.
This team has won on Tuesdays 60% of the time. I always laugh at those guys too. Teddy, always great. We enjoy you. We enjoy Sportsbit. I know I've said before, Paul Howard is a lot like me in a way, and I think we would have a fantastic 15 minutes if we debated and you were the moderator. I feel like I think that would be fun. But Teddy, you're great. We always enjoy talking to you. I will have to get you on again. Please don't be a stranger for so long, Teddy.
I'll do my best. You had me on once. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the time, Donnie. Thank you, BMOC. I really enjoyed it, guys. And please watch Sportsbit. Tell your friends about Sportsbit. It's a good show, and I wouldn't say that if it wasn't, right?
And by the way, before we let you go, we're going to post the teaser strategy video that you guys did over at Sportsbit.
Cool.
Obviously, with NFL coming up, I think it's something that if you're kind of a novice just getting into it, or you just kind of want a primer on it, give it a watch, and really great information. Great stuff over at Sportsbit. Catch it every day on SBR. Teddy, thanks for taking some time to come on with us tonight.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Teddy. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
See ya, buddy. Good stuff from Teddy Covers as always.
There we go. Absolutely.
Great information. He's always a guy that brings it, always has that Vegas look on things. Because, Donnie, let's be real. I mean, we don't have that look. We can't get in and get involved with what's going on in Vegas. And you learn a whole lot when you talk to Teddy Covers. It's always something that I enjoy when I get to talk to him. We do have some finals in Major League Baseball, Donnie. And no surprise, bases loaded. I counted the Nationals a loser a long time ago. I was really just playing out the fact that I still had a chance, but I knew I didn't have a chance. We had a final down in Houston, 8-3. Houston finishes it up. Donnie, what is going on with your game?
Yeah, Phillies lost 10-9. Obviously, they gave up 2 4-run leads, but the worst part about it, in typical Phillies fashion, man on first, 1 out in the 8th inning, Altair doubles down the line. They can't score the runner, so it's 2nd and 3rd. They load up the bases. Maikel Franco comes up, who's been an absolute garbage can the entire game. Errors, doing everything. Hits a fly ball out there. Daniel Nava carries a piano on his back and is thrown out by 30 feet. Fast forward to the 9th inning, a 2-out double ends the game 10-9 for Seattle. It looks like the Orioles just won in the bottom of the 12th here as well on a walk-off 5-4.
Yeah, but again, Dusty Baker thinks he has the best bullpen in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So, hey, well, okay.
Interesting night on the diamond. I mean, my goodness, no lead is safe. It's just absolute nuts. I hate that. I'd rather lose a game where, Jeff, I lost one last week 10-0, but I lost a game last week as well. I was up 4-0, had 2 4-run leads at home in this one. Still couldn't get the win. Those ones are the tough ones there. But again, it's a long grind. It's a season. Been doing this a long time. Bounce back tomorrow, get another W. No big deal.
Yeah, right. I'm sure that will be.
No, but that was a nice action-packed show for us there.
Yeah, always fun. Listeners were peaking for a while there. Teddy Covers always delivers the goods.
Yep.
Great stuff from him as always. We will be back tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern, with the SBR Roundtable. We'll discuss everything sports with the guys over at the Roundtable: Ian Cameron, Drew Martin, Donnie Rightside, and myself. We'll also be on later tomorrow night with another edition of the Late Night on Campus. Donnie Rightside, before we go, anything else that you have a burning desire to get off your chest? I want to talk about one thing, Donnie. I want to talk about Billions. I'm loving this show. I continue to just binge watch it. Really good recommendation by you.
Yeah, no, great show. And it just finished its 2nd season up. I know you'll probably catch up pretty quick, but it's definitely great for binge watching. It's already going to upset me that I'm probably going to have to sit out for the next 6 to 7 months and wait for it to come on, but the Ray Donovans will pick it up and carry me along. But definitely one of my favorite shows on TV. Look forward to it every Sunday night, and it's only been getting better, which is fun. Also,
one thing before we go, I wanted to point out, we're talking about doing some things with Donnie SBR. We're looking to do some, poker contests and things like that to win stuff from SBR. And again, we're not talking about coolers and koozies. We're talking about, good things, a lot of good stuff, a lot of cool things. If you like to play poker, I'll play on it. I'll be on there.
Sure.
We'll get some things going. We're trying to get some things moving here with the Late Night on Campus. Some big things coming. And again, hit the like button. Don't hit the dislike. Hit the like. It helps us. But as always, tune in tomorrow for another episode of the Late Night on Campus live at 10 o'clock Eastern. We'll be back at 12:30. Everyone have a great night. Bye-bye.